Welcome back, you lovely people. It has been too long. I'm James Johnson. I'm so happy to be here with you guys today, and this is the Small Council. Tony Teflon will be joining us shortly. Maester Payne will be joining us shortly. Clare Gray's been given an invite and may be joining us. And we have wonderful people here, as always. We got CharlieInWesteros. Charlie is amazing, and he's so wonderful to be joining us today. He's at Starbucks giving us the most attention he possibly can, considering the caffeine he's apparently been taking today. We have my lovely mother, LaDonna. Excuse her connection. I'm not sure why it's not quite perfect, but she's going to do the best she can. And she's actually in the other room visiting me right now. Her grandkids are here. We have the lovely Nico, the universal Nico, joining us as well. Apparently it's 130,000 degrees where she is. And we have the beautiful Teebaby joining us as usual. She just went and visited the African American Museum that they just built in DC. We were talking about that before we started. I'm so happy to have y'all here. This video is going to be a clusterfuck of random information because we're all just going to talk about what we think might happen, what we're sure won't happen. So if I could, I'm going to get everybody's introduction one at a time. We'll start with Charlie and then go to LaDonna and then Nico and then T. And do your introduction. And I'd also like to hear you say whether you think Lady Stoneheart's going to be making an appearance. Start with you, Charlie.
Well, let me start with introducing myself. Hey, folks, CharlieInWesteros here. Sorry again if it's a little noisier. Starbucks isn't exactly the quietest place. I had some confusion with the time we were doing this, but I'm happy to be here. Really excited to talk about Season 7. I can't wait for it to start. It feels like it's been forever since we haven't had Season 6, so the hype is on. Anyway, James, you were asking about Lady Stoneheart. Don't think it's going to happen there, buddy, but a boy can always dream, right? Anyway, that's me.
And Mama LaDonna.
Hello, folks. I'm LaDonna, also known as the Queen in the Small Council. I didn't name myself that. I think Tony Teflon named me that. I'm so glad to see so many folks in the chat. I was following along. There were a lot of people there quite a while ago getting ready for this. Yeah, we're all hyped for this. And I'm sorry for the connection. We're all over the place. We're in Canada and Nico's in Europe. But anyway, bear with us. It might be a little spotty, but so looking forward to listening to some theories. And when Tony gets here, I'm sure we'll butt heads again as we usually do. But at any rate, about Lady Stoneheart, sadly, no. I was one of the last diehards that thought she might happen now, especially when the Hound pissed in that river. So, have you.
And the universal Nico.
Why universal? I don't get it. Universal, omnipresent.
Exactly.
Hi, folks. Long time no see. I miss you all, and I hope everybody in the chat and people who later watch us are doing all right. I missed you so much, but apparently I was busy with school. That is done. That stage of my life is done, and now when it comes to Lady Stoneheart, I don't know. It's still, let's say it's not gonna be this season or ever, but we can hope. That's it. Hi.
Before we go on, I think the camera's stuck on me, just FYI.
You're right. Sorry. And the beautiful T.
Hey everyone, I'm so excited to be back with the squad. It's been a crazy off season. They might be surprised, but I turned into a troll a little bit, and my views on certain characters will shock you. Nico, I hope Jamie dies this season. It's so sad, and I think that Stannis really isn't a true king. So when Tony gets here, it's going to be interesting. But you guys, I hope you accept me still, and let's get this show on the road. And also, my voice sounds a little crazy because I'm still trying to get over the weekend. But as far as Lady Stoneheart, it's not going to happen. I want it to happen. I thought it was going to happen, but it's like, nope. On me, you're not going to fool me twice. That's just.
More than fair, more than fair. So Well, before we start, I want to say that my mom and I have, on our own, been watching a couple of different reaction channels. We watch Merrick Productions, we watch Film Buff, and we watch American Mom. Those three groups have gotten together with another group, Board Watch, which I have not seen, and are doing their own videos. They did one yesterday, so just want to shout out to them. American Mom, in her last two, was on her cell phone a lot. But other than that, her reactions are fan-fucking-tastic. I love American Mom. And Merrick Productions is great. And Film Buff, I was talking to Film Buff before he cracked our subscription count, saying, you're going to beat us soon, so can I talk to you before you do? But they're all great people, so it's just watching them. All right, so Lady Stoneheart. The reason I brought her up is because I'm still holding out hope. I think it's a beautiful thing. And if you don't know what that is, spoiler alert. So I'm going to try to avoid saying what it is, but talk in general terms, but the reason I bring it up is because I'm still holding out hope. Not that it will happen, but I'm hoping it will. And if it doesn't, it appears, I'm going to go to the first area to talk about, if Beric Dondarrion, the Hound, Tormund, and Jon, and some other people head up above the wall, possibly to get a white, to bring the white back, to show everybody that this is a real thing. Which, if that happens, isn't... Yes?
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Just a quick thing. Okay, because somebody messaged me on Twitter asking if we could avoid spoilers for season 7. Not saying anything you've been saying is spoilers or not. I just wanted to address that because I think there have been leaks allegedly out there. So I don't know what you folks think about that. I probably should have brought it up earlier. Sorry about that.
Okay. To go with what Charlie's saying, as far as anything in the books, I think we're going to have to. That's open. I will hedge my bets on the Lady Stoneheart thing to keep it, and don't look it up. If you don't know what it is, just don't look it up, because if it doesn't happen by the end of season 8, then you can look up whatever the fuck you want. But as far as right now, I'm going to try not to explain what it is, but still talk about its possibility. So as far as spoilers other than that, the trailers and articles, with the exception of paparazzi shots and that kind of stuff. I've been avoiding paparazzi shots and that other stuff, but trailers and I have not read the descriptions of the first 3 episodes, but they are out, their names and their descriptions. So I'm considering talking about that. We could at least bring up the name, but I've got the descriptions we could talk about in a minute if you'd like to go over that. Again, I have not read them yet, but I've got them up. So so I'm going to talk about what's in the trailers. It appears from the trailers that those 3-4 individuals are headed up to the north. And getting a white would make a lot of sense because they need to show that this is a real thing and people might not believe them. And this was foreshadowed in the books because somebody, forget the name of the guy, he brought down a jar with a hand in it, but by the time he got down there, the hand had degraded so much that it wouldn't move anymore. So it was not proof that there was a situation going on. But it appears from the trailers that there's somebody on a horse slumped over riding back, and that it looks like Jon, and I don't know that for sure, but in the trailer it happens right as Sansa is saying the lone wolf dies, the pack survives. That makes it look like Jon's the only one that returns. If Jon's the only one that returns and Beric doesn't return, I think that kills the Lady Stoneheart. But who the fuck knows? So, but that also would mean the Hound and Tormund and Beric would all be gone. I just do not think that the Hound is going to die like that. Without going into crazy theory, without going into detail about the theory, I still think the Hound and Sansa fuck and have kids. Sansa will be the aggressor in that situation. I think the Hound is a virgin, and I think that she'll be pregnant and that the Hound will die in the final battle. So again, all that's me making up shit. It's not a spoiler. So, but in the trailer, it appears as if Jon is fighting a White Walker out of a stone that appears it may be an entrance to a cave, maybe the Green Seer Throne. If that is the Green Seer Throne, that is the last hero story, or regardless of whether it's the Green Seer Throne, that's the last hero story, that somebody went up to stop the White Walkers and the Long Night with a bunch of people, and they all died except one, but he ended up being victorious in stopping it. And that is what Jon appears to be doing, and I'm speculating, and the last hero. I just can't buy the Hound does, number one. And number two, they're completely surrounded at some point in the trailer. And the Greek trailer has fires being lit around them. I don't know if that means that they're lighting the fires or somebody else's, but that'd be a good way for them to try to protect themselves. Anyway, thoughts on that? Let's start with you, Charlie.
You laid out a lot of stuff there, James, but I'll try to go through it as best I can. Okay, so the Stoneheart thing first. Honestly, I think, well, first of all, there was always very little hope in my mind that Stoneheart would show up as seasons went along. I think the end of season 3 was, when it, obviously with the Red Wedding, kind of was still a strong possibility. But what really killed it for me, like really, really killed it, even though last season I didn't think she would ever happen, was the Arya execution of, the phrase at the end of the last episode. I've always associated Lady Stoneheart's role kind of with seeking vengeance against the phrase. Without that, I guess, plot device present in the show anymore, I think that kind of just ends any possibility for her to show up. As much as I would love her to show up, I think it should be a really cool character to have in the show as well. But as I, always say, 13 episodes left, not much time for all that. You talked about, what else did you talk about? You talked about a Jon Snow and an undead horse, I think it was. In my mind, I kind of saw that as Benjen making another comeback this season in some capacity. How and why, I'm not sure. What else do I have to say? I watched the first trailer. I made a review of it. The second trailer, I looked at it a couple times. I honestly haven't given it much of a look over, unfortunately, so I can't really speak anything concretely on that. The other issues I have, and that was what I was referring to earlier with the spoilers, is more so the leaked scripts, which kind of, or not leaked scripts, I guess it is leaked scripts in a way. The alleged leaks happened for this season of Game of Thrones. I made the mistake of, reading them early on. So it makes the discussion for me a little bit harder to I guess, bring up. So just speaking in terms of my own personal hunches, I don't see Lady Stoneheart coming back, and I can't see them killing off the Hound this season either. That's all I'm going to say, I guess, on that. I also hope the sound isn't too obnoxious.
No, it's fine. I'd be willing to put up with a siren if it meant you could still join us. Mama?
Okay, as to Lady Stoneheart more in depth, I agree with everything Charlie said. I think her main role was to get vengeance in the Riverlands with the phrase, and I think that was a perfect way to say it, Charlie. So that's done. They nailed that immediately in that wonderful scene with Arya. With respect to what was only in the trailer, it's really clear to me that the Hound is going north. And it obviously is Jon there, the white next of them, in front of them. There are fires in the background. Some folks in the chat are speculating whether that's dragon fire. Absolutely not, in my opinion, because we're not going to have dragons up north until, in my opinion, the very next season. They're going to delay that. That's a big deal. So whatever fires are there, I think, are forcing the whites into Jon and his to capture one. We also saw the circle of cloaked people, and I think they might be doing that so that once they get one close, they can drag it in the circle and capture it. Again, that's speculation from the trailer. Whether it's a white or a white walker is questionable, but I think it's going to have to be a white. And I think the White Walkers are too powerful. And if the only way to control them is to kill them with a Valyrian sword, I don't know how they're going to keep it at bay. So I think it will be a white. And James, you're right. It'll be questionable as to whether or not it'll be animated by the time they get it back down to, I presume, Dragonstone, where it's pretty clear that Dany has, like her initial ancestor, landed at Dragonstone. She is the wheel of history, which we've seen over and over again in the show. She's at Dragonstone. She's establishing her base, and from there she's going to go out and attempt to conquer the rest of Westeros. And I think that she and Jon have to have some tete-a-tete issue, and also Jon has to convince her that there is a threat from the north. So it makes sense for them to do that. That's all I have to say about that issue. Oh, if I might, with respect to the Hound, James and I could talk about this for days, and we're not going to. We have on other videos. The Hound's not going to die this season. You know, he's had 2 people tell him, the Brotherhood and the person who had the hippie commune. I can't remember his name. Brother somebody. Bigger mission in this, and I do think it has to do with Sansa. But I also think it has to do with him being a critical player at the end game. So that's it.
Nico?
Meeting apricots. So first, may I just say again how happy I am to be here. I miss you guys so much. How Charlie, you're so millennial with, you know, like podcasting in Starbucks. Come on, man. So. Yeah, I think James made a really good point. No, it was Charlie with regards to phrase, because that was the point of Stoneheart. So yeah, they will not go that way, unfortunately. In the books, I don't know. Like when I think about it, Lady Stoneheart has also some unfinished business with Jon, right? So you can, you know, say, oh, maybe she will, you know, she needs to ask Jon for forgiveness or something, and they started this story in the first season. I mean, they played upon it. But I think when they filmed the first season, it was just, you know, like they didn't know how seasons they will run or whatever. So they started everything like it was in the books, and then he just took over. So this story is not so important in the show anymore. So yeah, this is my point of, my take on that. Thank you. And Tony, hi Tony.
Yeah, Tony just joined us. Although I don't see the video, so maybe he's reconnected. There he is. There's the man. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the Don.
What's the deal, my people? You know what it is, Don, Tony Teflon, and I'm back at you with another one. Back with my family, the small council, doing what we do, talking about Game of Thrones. Happy to be here. Ecstatic to be here, actually.
I missed the shit out of you, Tony. And Tony's link is in the bottom. You need to be watching this video, so he comes out with more videos than any of us combined. All right, so I'm going to brief you, Tony, on what we're talking about right now. We're talking about what will happen above the wall. T was about to talk specifically. It looks like Tormund, Barrack, and the Hound are headed up there. It looked to me like that Jon was on the horse being ridden back after a good battle. Speculation about them going up for a white. We're going to try not to talk about leaks, but trailers and articles and interviews are good to go, and pictures that have been released. So T, what did you think about what we were talking about?
First of all, I do want to add that when I went to Ice and Fire Con, that I did get to meet Tony. So we got to hang out, so that was fun. Shout out to Tony. But as far as like the Hound, I don't know, because like in my heart I want him to come back, but I feel like D&D mess with our minds with that, so I just don't think. I think Jon might be the only one that does come out. So with it was a scene where it looks like it was Jon fighting in a bunch of White Walkers. I thought that was also Benjen too for a second. And it's the hair, because, you know, they kind of threw us off, I think, in season 4 or something, or maybe it was season 5, where we thought it was with Jon ended up being Benjen. I can't remember, so don't quote me on that. But I just think that, and y'all know I love Torrent, but I think he's going to die. Like, they scared the shit out of me last season when was that the Umber or some piece was stabbed, and I was like, oh my god, are we really going to kill him? But then we didn't, so I was like, okay, because, you know, Arya, we didn't kill her. So I don't think he's going to be that lucky this season. I think that he's going to be fighting with Jon to the death, but I don't think he's making it out too happy. Like, we can't get everything exciting, a Stark reunion, Dany taking over, all of it. No, that's how it works out. So, but I cannot wait to see if Sansa and the Hound meet together, because the last time they saw him, he was brave and he was trying to save her, and she just stayed back. But then again, I'm also excited to see if Arya and the Hound reunite again, because they have this weird relationship too. When she left him hanging, like he was begging for mercy for her to kill him, and she just didn't. She just walked and stole his money. So I'm excited to see like how's that going to happen. But the last question, but y'all know I'm just so excited to be back with y'all.
I'm excited too, T. Very excited to have all y'all here. So, Tony, I think you heard the gist of it. Do you think the Hound or Tormund is going to die above the wall? And just generally, what do you think is going to happen above the wall?
Somebody's got to die. I mean, they got to kill somebody special up there, right? So you figure the whole Brotherhood without banners, every one of them are going to die. That's just a given. You know what I mean? This is it's just about how they die. You know what I mean? If you're talking about the Lady Stoneheart situation, the only thing that makes Lady Stoneheart special is that she does the kiss of life. So they could have someone of the Brotherhood perform the kiss of life on somebody while they're up there, and that would be your Lady Stoneheart situation. I think it's a dumb reason why they're going, if it's true that they're going to get a wife, because no one believes them. Obviously, we've seen that before with the hand and stuff. It didn't make it down there. But I would just think if Dany, you know, someone who's walked through fire twice, someone who gave birth to 3 dragons out of stone. If anyone should believe in the White Walkers, it should be you. So I don't know how she's going to say, I don't believe you, Jon Snow. You know, I don't know how that's going to work. But, yeah, I would think that someone important has to die, whether it's the Hound, Brienne, or Tormund. I don't know, but I think Tormund's the most expendable out of all 3 of them. I think he has the least role to play. So if they're going on that account, then it would be Tormund. But Tormund, you know, I thought he was dead already a couple of times, and he's always survived. So he's kind of like Bronn with me. I always think Bronn's going to die, but this bastard just keeps sneaking out of it. So I don't know who it's going to be, but I would take a guess that it's going to be one of them.
And Tony, while I got you, one of the first question I asked is and everybody but me said no, and I said I hope so, but Beric being above the wall, I'm not sure. The question was, do you think we're going to get Lady Stoneheart?
No, I don't think that you'll get Lady Stoneheart as in the character of Lady Stoneheart. As I said, the importance of Lady Stoneheart is just showing that one's life can be transferred to another one through the kiss of life. So that's only thing that she's really important for in the book. So they'll probably just give that part to somebody else, whether it's Beric or Thoros. One of them will give the kiss of life to somebody that's up there that gets badly wounded.
Okay, I could totally see what you're saying there. And to me, Lady Stoneheart is more of a vengeance, the Jon situation and the vengeance against Littlefinger. But you got a good point with that. So if I could travel from the wall a little bit, but starting there, it looks like in the trailer, Bran and Mira are coming through the wall, coming through the archway in the wall, the whatever you want to call it, the drawbridge, the entrance. Who is opening that for them? Was it open when they got there? I'm a little confused about that. And if he does come through the wall, he's been touched by the Night's King. I can't imagine that he would. It may be that that's enough for the Night's King to come through, but we got a whole season that we need to get through before the final battle. We need to close up all the things that are going to happen to humans before we get the last season, to me, which is the war, the real war. And there's only 6 season. That's not a whole lot. And though they're probably going to be long as hell, an hour and a half each, I don't know that, but to me, it seems like the Night's King needs to touch Bran again once he's below the wall in order to get through there. I don't know. But it seems like Bran's going through the wall. If he goes through the wall, he's obviously headed towards Winterfell. Will he see Sansa? Sansa leave Winterfell? Is Arya headed to Winterfell? These are the questions I want y'all to talk about. So, Charlie, what do you think about all that?
I kind of want to touch on something Tony brought up, and actually a few you've talked about in terms of major characters dying. Is it okay if I talk about that? So, you know,
I think the best way to do this is I think the best way to do this is exactly that. If you got anything to add to what was discussed, do that, and then we'll move on to the topic I've mentioned. That way we can do it.
No, I just wanted to throw a bit of a curveball actually on that note, because I agree with Tony. I think a major character does have to die, like happens pretty much every season. And I'm kind of just wondering, is Brienne or Tormund or any of those characters major enough to be killed off? We've also kind of noticed that every season at least one king seems to die off, or a king-like character. So my crackpot curveball thought of the day that I would throw at you guys, see what you guys think about that, is, do you think there's a chance that either Cersei or Euron Greyjoy could be killed off this season? I say those two because I don't really see Jon or Daenerys being killed off, if at all. Well, we can discuss whether or not they're going to die, but I mean, if they are, I don't think it's going to happen this season. They seem like they're pretty much the main characters of the series. So, do you think there's a chance that a kingly character or a queenly character, because Cersei will be killed off in season 6? In terms of what you said, James, you're gonna have to forgive me. I can't seem to remember what you mentioned. You're talking about the wall.
Not a problem. I was moving from the wall down, and it looks like Bran and Mira are headed down through the wall as well. They're going through the door, the portcullis. That's what it is. The portcullis is open. Was it left open? If it was left open, I'm assuming it was by Jon, but they were at the wall. So Mira were at the wall, and basically at the end of the last season. Who opened the wall for them? Who is going to be at Winterfell when he gets there? I think it's clear in the trailer that the Maester that delivered new baby is with Bran. Bran's in a wheelchair at the weirwood tree, the heart tree at Winterfell. So I think that guy's there. But as far as Sansa, I think Sansa probably stays at Winterfell, but then leaves on her own to go do her own thing. And I've talked about, in my opinion, she's going to be marrying Littlefinger and then killing him. Littlefinger's goal is to get he's already got the Eyrie behind him. He's already got the North behind him, kind of because of Sansa. Casterly Rock. We're going to get to all these places later, but as far as Sansa's motivations to go south, Littlefinger wants to marry Sansa to close the deal and him having a right to all these different areas. And that will give Sansa the right, but Sansa needs to leave. And Arya may be headed also to Winterfell, but will Bran see any of them at Winterfell? And what generally happens at Winterfell is really what we're getting at. Everybody's leaving Winterfell, in my opinion, and then Bran shows.
My immediate hunch is that all the Starks basically meet up this season. I think this is kind of their culmination where they all come together again. And at Winterfell, I think, we'll get Bran, Sansa, Jon, and Arya reunited finally at the location. In terms of what goes down, I could personally see it going certain ways. I've read things that indicate other directions than what I would have initially assumed. So I'll leave it at that. But I like what you're posing there, James. I just think I have to be careful what I say. That's all.
For the sake of anybody who wants that information, what can you point them towards it rather than us talk about it spoilery wise?
I know on Reddit there's a Free Folk forum which posts a lot of spoilers for Game of Thrones. This is the first year I've honestly, it's been a while actually since I looked at that, but I remember reading about some of the lunch spoilers months ago. So it's also partially why I've kind of avoided making season 7 videos in general. But yeah.
Mama LaDonna. You can hear you now. Don't leave it. No, you're muted. There you go. Okay.
Without going into, as we all know, once you start talking about something, it expands. You want to go into everything. With respect to what you initially asked, James, will Sansa meet up with Brienne? If they're still alive, but for the purposes of this coming season, I think they have not emphasized as much in the show and they said it over and over there must always be a Stark in Winterfell. And for that reason, I think Sansa does overlap briefly with Bran, so that she can leave someone at Winterfell when she goes really savvy now. She knows that Littlefinger is one. He needs Sansa to seal the deal, so it's both north and south. So he's got that control. Now knows how to manipulate people, and I think that when we saw her in the trailer walk through, and she says, you know, you have to basically, it's Littlefinger talking to her. You basically have to anticipate all your enemies way ahead of them. I think she is anticipating how down. So she'll leave Bran there. The question I have with that, and nobody answer it right now, is whether or not Bran is going to reveal who. I don't think he will. Really, number one, I think it needs to stay secret right now. And number two, the person he needs to give that information to, the person who passes the sentence must swing the sword, I think he needs to give it directly to Jon. With respect to, but yes, I think she will meet him. With respect to who opened the wall, I think it's irrelevant. It's Ed. You know, Sam knew who Bran was when he first met him. He said, "You're Bran, you're Jon's brother." Well, I'm sure he's talked to Ed well, so he's going to know this kid in a wheelchair is Bran Stark. He's going to let him in. Plus, he certainly doesn't look like he poses a damn threat to the wall. He's in nothing. So they're going to let him in. With respect to the wheelchair, I want to say one thing. I think that heart tree in Winterfell is really important. Winterfell is ancient. It's the oldest edifice there, except maybe the Fist of the First Men, which is just I think that heart tree has an incredible amount of information, and I think Bran needs to be there, and we've seen him there, and I do agree. That Maester is the one that was the head of Winterfell when Ramsay killed his dad, and he said, just tell everybody I poisoned him. So he's still there, and remember, he doesn't serve the family. He serves the family that lives in the building. So he's going to be Stark now. Arya, up with Sansa yet? I think that is such a good, that they were at complete odds from the beginning of these books. They won't meet for a long time. But what Arya is going to meet, and there's a scene in the trailer, there's two scenes, her riding, and they juxtaposed it with a background scene that looked like the ocean. Theon getting off a boat, looks like him. But they juxtaposed her scene where the ceiling area, sky area, looks like it might have been the same. No, she's in the north. They're both kind of... And then they show her lighting a fire and looking a little anxious. I think that's the scene when her wolf comes back to her with Nymeria's huge pack of freak of wolves. And I'm going to leave that there.
All right, and I think Nico's talking to a neighbor right now. T, what you think?
With Bran and that whole, like, Bran coming back, I do think that Bran does make it. I just don't see them doing it for a third time where Bran and Jon miss each other, because they did that in season 3. With the Wildlands. Then they did it again when he went above the wall to look for him, I think around Crassus Keep. So I just can't see them playing that same trick where they barely meet each other or they miss each other. I do think that they will reunite. I don't think everyone's going to reunite the way that we think they will. Arya does reunite, think that they're going to have a better understanding of each other, because even though opposite of each other, they're very much similar to each other. And when you think about, like, Million, she changes her face, and you know she gets everything done because she changes her feature and she can adapt. Same thing with Sansa. Sansa was able to survive all the stuff because she adapts. She'll say what she has to say to get along. She'll change her hair. She'll change her outfit. She'll be like a chameleon too. So they're more similar. And I think because witness that they will have a better understanding, because Sansa basically knows that her strength is when she's in the north. She's not going to leave. I don't think she's going to leave Winterfell because I think that posed a danger to her. She doesn't have that many allies. And even last season, we see that she can't really gather too many people to her side. Like, it took Davos to get those houses, well, the houses that did rally with them. It was Davos that helped it because Jon and Sansa messed up. So I don't think she has in it. I don't see her marrying Littlefinger either. However, I do see her using Littlefinger, and I can see Sansa also using Jon. Needs to get done. So I feel like she might like backstab some of her family members, not in a way where it's like she's going to cause harm to them, but I can see Sansa using her family members to move them in the direction she wants them to move so that they can better whatever stance they want their house to be. As far as that scene where Sansa is walking away from the werewood tree, I thought that might be a scene where she probably get a connection with Bran, because there was that scene in the books in the tree saying his name. I just thought it might be a cool little thing that they kind of reverse it or do something different where, you know, Sansa finds some information or happen to her, and then it possibly that might not even happen at all. But that thought popped in my head. But I think the biggest thing that I'm scared of, Arya, is that if we do see Nymeria, I think that that's a sign that Arya might die. Weird feeling, and I know I'm really out there, and then I'm gonna shut up. That the next time that Arya will actually get to meet Jon will be through her direwolf. I don't think she's going to actually physically, but I do think it's going to be bittersweet that she might live through her wolf, and then it goes that way. And I forgot anything else, but you guys.
That was a lot of good points. Tony, what do you think?
Sorry about that. I'm not used to this mute situation. It takes me a second to come over from the chat and then look at this and then hit the mute button. Well, I would just say, first off, you know, I haven't even been here for 5 minutes and Charlie already got something to say. Jesus Christ. I mean, it hasn't started already. Already? Am I going to have to put it on Charlie this early in the goddamn season before the season starts? But we won't touch on that right now. We would touch on something that we're talking about here. But I think the thing that people don't realize and what they forget about is that, yes, the Night's King did touch Bran. That did not give the Night's King the power to bring down the wall. All that is a tracker. Because these White Walkers don't want to kill the humans. They want to kill the Green Seers and the children of the forest, the evil motherfuckers. And what's going on is the children are hiding behind the humans. And that's who he's after. He's after Bran, and he's after the rest of the children of the forest. That's who the White Walkers are after. Now, he will come down past the wall, and he'll go all the way to Winterfell, which will lead the Night's King right down to Winterfell eventually to come and get him and stuff because he's after him. I don't know if Arya is going to run in, if Bran is going to run into Jon. I think that Jon's probably going to go from Winterfell to Dragonstone, to the wall, down to King's Landing. I don't know if he makes it back to Winterfell this season. So I don't know if that's going to, I think that Bran probably will miss Jon, but he'll get there when Sansa's there. I think it's a good possibility that he takes Sansa to the Tourney of Harrenhal. And that's how we see the Tourney of Harrenhal. It's him and Sansa walking through the werewood tree, and he's showing her everything. And Sansa gets mad when she finds out that Jon is really supposed to be king. And that could set up a Sansa and Jon marriage after Daenerys is killed like Nisa. I know it doesn't sound right, but I'm telling you, something can go down like that because I think it's easier for them to have two cousins that are married rather than an aunt and a nephew that are married. So that's how I feel about that. I'll let someone else speak. I want to take up all the time.
You're definitely not taking up too much time, Tony. I did want to say something in response to a couple of people. Tony mentioned the death of Tormund being permissible, and I completely agree. I don't want Tormund to die, but if they go up north, somebody has got to die. And I do want to ask everybody, since we're on the topic, if Sansa leaves I just cannot imagine that Sansa stays at Winterfell. That just cannot happen. She has got to go down. She has a role to play in what happens in the South before they head back up north for the final battle. So the question that follows from that is, where would she go if she leaves? And River Run's been taken over, but the Freys are probably going to disperse now that he's dead, because he was really the source of their power, Walder. But with him dead, there'll be so many people vying for power, it'll implode. And we know that Edmure's still alive, and he has got a child, and he's at River Run. So Sansa may head there. There's a couple of different places she could head, but I don't think she's going north, east, or west. She's going south. So asking everybody that. My mom mentioned the weirwood tree being, Bran's visions are not going to stop. He's going to be having visions through the end. And we got boatloads of videos about that and what might happen there. But I was talking with somebody online, and not the three-eyed crow, I don't think it's the three-eyed crow, Blood Raven tells Bran, you will never walk again, but you will fly. Now, we all think that means dragons, and I do indeed think that Bran's going to end up warding a dragon, that Sansa, Arya, and Jon are going to ride dragons. But that doesn't make any sense for what Blood Raven's saying, because you will never walk again, but you will fly. Well, Bran would fly by getting into the mind of a dragon, if that's what he means. But Bran has gotten into the mind of Hodor, and Bran has gotten into the mind of his direwolf, so he has walked already. I think that what he was getting at was, and I don't know this, is that Bran will fly in the sense that he will not be, he will be able to see the past from any perspective anywhere, and that's the flying. He's able to go anywhere with this ability to see into the past. Speaking of something else my mom said, Arya said she would rescue her sister. And I think that Arya and Sansa have a lot of storyline left together. That said, the same person she once was, neither is Arya. And Arya may literally not be the same person. Sansa, I just started playing D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, recently. I played probably about 12 games now. I got my mom to play, and she enjoyed it. I've gotten a couple of friends to play. I enjoy the shit out of it. But show, it is 100% Martin making the ability checks and actions that happen in Dungeons and Dragons to these characters. He's not rolling die. He's choosing what happens, but some of them have better charisma, some of them have better wisdom, some of them have better strength, constitution, dexterity, some of them are proficient in certain skills. You can, after watching the show, it's completely apparent that that's what Martin's doing. He gives them certain skills and abilities, and they interact. He is writing it. It's not random, but it's really funny to watch. Arya's reveal of who she actually is a power play. She does not have to do that anytime soon. She doesn't have to do it at all. She may die. I'm not suggesting this occurs, but may. She may die before she ever reveals it. Her showing who she is something that a character would have to think deeply before doing, and I'm not sure when that would occur. Another thing I'd like to add, talking about was mentioned, and talking about the Hound a minute ago. So I wanted to share this. This is a picture from the second trailer. It's at 1 minute and 22 seconds in. If you go to 1 minute and 22 seconds, it'll be Tyrion. But soon, almost immediately thereafter, will be this image. And you can see this person pulling out their sword. That, to me, is 100% the Hound. I don't know that, but that looks like the Hound. Not only does that look like the Hound, but this sword, and I could be completely wrong, that sword is Dawn. The pictures of Dawn, that sword is Dawn. Look at the hilt and the way it angles down. You can see the pommel is similar to the shape of it. I know that you can't see this clearly, and this is totally conjecture, but that, in my opinion, is the sword Dawn, and the Hound is wielding it. Don't have any proof of that, but I think that it is definitely something that may that may occur. Did everybody see that properly? Can you just get a nod of the head to show up properly? Okay. Also, somebody mentioned Cersei and Jaime. I think we're going to get to that soon, so I'll hold off on that for a split second. Here, it seems clear to me that Dany is going to attack Casterly Rock. So that's the next place I'm going. It seems clear to me that Dany's attacked Casterly Rock. I say that because in the trailer, when you see the, first of all, you see Unsullied riding in a boat, and they look back at, you see Grey Worm look back because there's a crevice in the wall with a hole. That is where and I don't know this, but I'm going to give you my opinion. That is the end, the out of the cisterns and the sewages that Tyrion built. Tyrion is telling them how to get a back way in there. And there's a scene in the trailer where 4 or 5 Unsullied open a big door and a bunch of Unsullied rush through it from the other side. That, in my opinion, is them opening the door to Casterly Rock. And I say it's Casterly Rock because that has the white walls that you see in another scene that has the Lannister sigil up top. To me, they're attacking Casterly Rock, and this was foreshadowed because Robb said, if you want to get them at their home. So you also have the Field of Fire, and I don't know where that's going to occur, but I think it's most likely that happens at Casterly Rock because I think we're going to get 2 big battles. I think that's the kind of rumor going around that we're going to get 2 big battles. That, in my opinion, is certainly one of them. So you also see in the trailer that Jaime is charging something with his lance. He's running at something with his lance. Like that, and all of his army, all of his people dead? I don't know all of his people, but why would the Field of Fire is not going to be on Jaime's side, it's going to be on the other side. I think he's charging a dragon. And we are going to get a whited dragon by the end of this, a dead dragon that is resurrected. In order for that to occur, a dragon has to die. And isn't that a twist of irony for Jaime to be the quintessential knight that kills a dragon? Fits, and he does it with the lance. I just think that fucking fits. 2 characters that if Dany attacks, 3 characters. If Dany attacks Casterly Rock, what the fuck is Tyrion gonna think about that? Because that's his hometown. His dad may have been a dick, but that's his hometown. That's where his family is from. That's the home his family has had for generations upon generations before there was a Targaryen dynasty. What is Jaime going to react to that? If Jaime knows that Tyrion's on the other side, how is he going to react? And the other character is Bronn. Really deeply invested with both Tyrion and Jaime, and he is kind of in the middle of that. So we're mainly talking about specifically that battle, the Unsullied, and possibly a battle at Casterly Rock. Again, I'm trying to limit these specific areas. So responses to that. Why don't we switch around the? Actually, we'll go with the same order. Charlie.
All right. This time I took some notes because last time there was way too many thoughts for me to keep track of in my mind. So first I'll respond to Teebaby's comment about Arya warging into Nymeria as, I guess, switching up her role in this season. I don't know if you were thinking it was going to happen this season, season 7, Teebaby, or you meant season 8. But my thoughts actually was that they're going to kind of do away with the whole warging plot. It kind of went that way already in the show, with the exception of basically Bran. So what I mean to say is I think, I talked about this in one of my own videos actually, I suspect that Nymeria is probably going to save Arya or play a significant role in terms of helping Arya out at some critical point. Maybe could be anything from, like somehow her heading north and fighting against White Walkers, or her fighting off Frey men. I don't know. I do think that Arya will be reunited with Nymeria, but I think Arya will be reunited with Nymeria, but I think Nymeria's role is basically to save Arya, save her role more effectively. I think they've kind of cut down the role of the direwolves in the show as a whole. I think they've kind of given them a bit of a different set of importance for the Starks. Oh, and LaDonna's gone. So yeah, I just wanted to respond to that and say I think I like your idea there, TDB. I just don't think they're going to go that way for the TV series of Game of Thrones. moving on to something Tony said. Actually, I wanted to ask Tony something quickly, not really relevant to the show. It's more so about Con of Thrones. I know you spoke about it in your own videos, but I know you went there, and I was hoping maybe at some point in our discussion you could talk about your experiences there. I actually was hanging out with, because Val earlier, and she mentioned she really enjoyed the event and seeing Game of Thrones actors and other YouTubers. So it'd be cool if you gave us a little bit of a preview. I know you also talk about it in your own videos, like I said, so just wanted to mention that. All right. Now the things that you've said, James. So start taking notes, though, when you're talking about the Hound. And we actually talked about this one-on-one, remember, in our own interactions on Facebook. I do agree with you that the character wielding that sword does look like the Hound. And I remember you mentioning that you think that he was wielding Dawn. I don't know whether or not, obviously, if that is Dawn. I think it would be an interesting choice. And I do think that Dawn has to make a reappearance in the TV series because of the focal point, the way the sword is emphasized in the scene with Jon being born. You know, we see Ned Stark putting the sword down and the camera kind of panning up close to the appearance of the sword. I don't know if that sword is meant for Jon, if that's meant to be like that's the sword that he's meant to wield in terms of fighting the White Walkers. But I do think that sword is intended, whoever wields it, I think that sword is intended to fight off the White Walkers. And I say that because I remember the swordsman, Arthur Dayne, mentioning, you know, I wish you all the luck in the wars to come, or something to that effect to Ned Stark, which seems to me to indicate that he's somewhat aware of what's going to be going down in the years to come when the White Walkers do invade. Now, whether that indicates that the sword is meant for Jon, or whether it comes into the Hound's hands, I can't say, but I do think the sword's importance is going to return. And if it's the Hound who's going to wield it, then, you know, I think it'd be really cool. I think his role in the series is to fight the worst to come against the White Walkers. I think it's definitely not going to die this season. And if he does die, it'll be at the end of season 8 when he's fighting the onslaught of these creatures north of the wall. Moving on to Dany attacking Casterly Rock. Okay, so when I saw that scene in the trailer, I remember the archway with the Lannister lion sigil, and I thought Casterly Rock was an option. I kind of thought more King's Landing immediately, just because Casterly Rock never really featured much in the TV show, and it's also on the other side of Westeros. But at the same time, and hearing your arguments that you presented, it does make sense that, in fact, that could be the focal point of the Targaryen or Daenerys attack. I think it would be an interesting choice because it's not expected in general from us, the audience, and for people in Westeros. If she's at Dragonstone, we pretty much have confirmation she's going to be there, considering the trailer, you know, video footage we've seen. It would make way more sense for her to attack King's Landing, given how close it is. We saw Stannis also attack King's Landing at the end of season 2, and that invasion didn't work out. So I suspect that, given almost the inevitability that people would expect her to attack King's Landing, and also assuming, you know, that Euron Greyjoy aligns himself with Cersei, which I think is going to happen, but we'll see. If that does happen, it would be a little stupid for Daenerys to attack King's Landing if there's like an Ironborn blockade there, and also if there's the flames. What's it called? The flames that Tyrion used in season 2, and also that Cersei used last season. I can't remember the word, but anyway, just to say that it would be
Wildfire.
Wildfire. Thanks. It'd be stupid of her to go there. So as a result, I do think that Casterly Rock is the intelligent attacking point for her fleet. You also mentioned that, you know, Tyrion, you mentioned Tyrion's feelings in terms of how he would react if she were to attack Casterly Rock. And honestly, I think that if Daenerys chooses to attack Casterly Rock, and she makes use of the cistern system that you mentioned that Tyrion knows so well, it seems to me he would be well aware of her willingness to attack there, and if she does attack there and he helps, and, you know, she's aware of the cisterns, he would do it. He would assist her, he would give her the information knowing full well that she would make that invasion a thing. And we also have seen Daenerys, at least her forces, her Unsullied forces make these kind of attacks. I think when she was invading Yunkai, they snuck into the city. So a similar, you know, sneak attack at Casterly Rock would kind of throw back to that invasion a few seasons ago. So that's kind of why I've actually changed my own opinion. I'm kind of thinking, you know what, it makes sense for Daenerys to attack Casterly Rock rather than King's Landing. All right, I know I'm talking really slowly, but here's my last point. What do I have here? Oh yeah, you mentioned the
You're not talking
White
slowly.
Dragon.
Take your time. This is brilliant stuff.
All right, my last. Actually, it's not even a point. I was just going to say I was going to comment on the White Dragon, James, and I think that would make an epic ending to season 7 if a White Dragon shows up. But I will not say anything more on that. That's all.
Lovely stuff. Mama Jamma? And she's out. Don't think she heard me. All right, Teebaby.
Okay. So you guys are talking about Tyrion, and the thing that's bothering me about Tyrion in these trailers is that he looks worried. So it's making me think that they might be successful in taking Casterly Rock a lot, or they are not successful. But he looks so worried that I don't think that they're going to be that successful.
I did already.
I think that
Okay.
I say that prediction right now that I think, well, it ties in it. I think Grey Worm, I think he dies this in that scene when they're attacking Casterly Rock. I don't think he's going to make it. It's just that facial expression that Tyrion's making that makes me think something went terribly wrong or something that he didn't expect to happen. But see, there was so much stuff going on in that trailer. One thing I'm curious about is like, because technically he is still married to
I'm really
Sansa.
sorry to interrupt you. My mom needs to hear. We can hear you, Mom. You're not muted, and we can hear you. Okay.
You good?
Go ahead. My fault.
No. It's all love. It's all love. So basically, looking at facial expressions and thinking the worst of things because we're watching Game of Thrones. So because of his face, when I first saw this scenes, I thought like, oh, they're doing the scene with Yunkai. It's not Yunkai, the drain scene. I was like, okay, they're doing the same thing because Tyrion was and lead of the pipe system in Casterly Rock, so he knows the system. So that's smart. And Dany has done that, and she was successful. So I was like, okay, this is cool. But because of that facial expression, and I think in the scene you do see some of the Unsullied look like they had spears in their chest falling down, which makes so in that second trailer you do see the Unsullied opening the door, and I think that was Casterly Rock letting everyone inside. So I do think they're successful in actually gaining access. I just don't know if they're successful in keeping it. It's so many different battle scenes that we're going to get a lot of battles this season that I'm not sure in order of sequence. So I do think that Dany is going to succeed because I did see her riding the dragon. But I do think one of these battles she is going to lose based off of the trailers. Whatever is a night in the night, which I think is probably going to be the first episode. As far as let me just stop rambling. Basically, I think Tyrion is nervous because something went terribly wrong. I'm curious to what he has to say about Sansa. Is he going to try to as a pawn or as a alliance because Dany needs all the help she can get because she doesn't have that many houses backing her up.
It's a good point about the houses. It's definitely something she's going to have to focus on, and she talked about that with Dario having to kick him out. Tony, what are you thinking about this Casterly Rock talk?
Yeah, I think that no doubt about it that Casterly Rock will get sacked this season. I think that's plain easy to see, and that would leave Cersei to have to do something else. If she doesn't have a hometown, she's going to have to take somebody else's hometown. And it would seem that the only place you would have to take after that is Highgarden. So most likely the Field of Fire would have to happen probably in between there. We do see in a trailer, it looks like a bunch of grain carts that are outside there. So quite possibly they went there for food or went there for some other reason. But that's probably how it's going to run down. Euron is definitely going to be with Cersei. That's a given. That's a done deal. You could take that to the bank. Said that 3 years ago. Take it to the bank, and you can still take it to the bank. It's a done deal. That's got to happen. That will happen because he's the Valanquire. He's the one who's going to kill her in the end. So that is why he has to be her. That's just the way it goes down. As for anything else that's going to happen down at the picture of the Hound, don't know if that's Dawn. I do believe that Dawn is in the crypts of Winterfell. So I don't know how he would have gotten his hands on it. It does look like the Hound. It does look like the Dragon Pit. So I don't know what they could be doing in the Dragon Pit, what can make him so upset. I don't know if it's some type of game bowl situation that people want to see. I doubt that we'll see something like that. Maybe Dan and Dave does some type of fan service and does a little game bowl at that particular time. Who knows? But that's what it looks like. Looks like they're in the Dragon Pit right there. I don't know. Looks like he's wearing shorts also. Looks like his legs are about, I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird picture. And that would also lead me to believe that that's later on. That makes me think that the Hound may be one of the people who do survive on the way that they come back, since that picture is there. It looks like he's down in King's Landing. Obviously, he was with the Brotherhood without banner. They're heading up to the wall. If he's made it all the way down there, then he has to be one of the people that survive. So that's what I take from all of that.
That's brilliant stuff, Tony, and I had not thought. I bet you're 100% right that that's the Dragon Pit. We knew that they were trying to find a location for it. Emilia Clarke said something about the Dragon Pit. So I think you're 100% right. That's the Dragon Pit. And if that is the Hound, then that means that that's likely Clegane Bowl. I 100% agree with you, Tony. I said a long time ago in a video called The Final Battle that the sword Dawn would be inside Lyanna's statue, and that it would get cracked up and sword in the stone. Now, that might not happen, but I agree. If we get Dawn one way or another, that's a big deal. I've got a picture of it here that I will share, the actual Dawn, so that y'all can compare to what Limited actually saw Limited in the trailer. But that hilt looks a lot like this. Now, I don't know, but something to think about. But you're 100% right about that Dragon Pit, and I had not considered it. About the Hound. If my mom and I are right that the Hound and Sansa are going to get it on and have kids, and I don't want to speak for my mom, so it's just from my own perspective. If the Hound and Sansa are going to have sex and a kid be born, to me that kid is going to be born almost exactly at the end of this or shortly thereafter. But at the end of this, delivering a baby, I think that's possibly going to be Sansa's kid. Because I think there'll be triplets, which we have not had in this show yet. But for that to happen, that means that she needs to get pregnant a certain time beforehand, which would put it near the end of this season, and that would coincide with the battle at the Dragon Pit, if that's the Hound, or the Hound's battle, wherever that happens. So that might happen this season. Certainly without it, I think it's impossible for the Hound not to fight his brother. That will happen. It's just a matter of where and when. And this is the season for, in my opinion, the closure of most of the human. I say most because they're still going to be getting everybody up there and the issues that happen along the way. Speaking of which, there was an interview with, and I don't have it right here, but there was an interview with the guy who plays Euron Greyjoy, who said everybody hated Joffrey, Ramsay, and everybody hated Ramsay, and now he's gone, and Euron is way, way worse. I think Euron is going to burn the Citadel down. I don't have specific evidence for that, but Ramsay's done and all the shit that Joffrey's done, those are horrible fucking things, and they're to individuals, so those individuals suffer whatever Joffrey does to Sansa or to the prostitute that was in King's Landing, or Ramsay does to Reek or to his mother-in-law. Those are horrible things to individuals or to his brother. But burning, it's the Library of Alexandria. Generations after generations after generations will wonder what information was lost because some fools burned it down. The irony, from what I understand, and I may be wrong, but hearing it from a Greek gentleman, apparently the Greeks built the Library of Alexandria, and then later a Greek burned it down because they didn't want the general public to be educated. But in my opinion, he's going to be burning the Citadel down. That said, be headed to King's Landing. You can see in the trailer that the Kraken ships are headed to King's Landing. And in my opinion, that's Euron, and he's going to try to get Cersei on his side. If I'm right that the issues between mankind are going to be ended by the end of this season, I'm right, Do you all, and I agree with you 100%, Tony. We've also, a couple of us have said for quite a while, Cersei and Jaime are going to go out together. They came into this world together. They're going to go out together by the end of the season. Are Jaime and Cersei going to be dead by the end of the season? So that said, I really don't have a lot of information about what happens at King's Landing, with the exception of the trailer. Certainly, Cersei's going to be not doing a great job. She's just going to be exerting power. She's going to be pissed off about Dany. She's going to manipulate Jaime. She has no more children left. She's going to send people to protect Casterly Rock, if indeed that's what happens. Somebody is telling her with Jaime beside her something that is pissing her off. That could be either Casterly Rock situation. It could be that Dany's landed. It could be a million different things. So I don't really have a lot of information about that. I did want to mention, though, as a random side note, that the map that she's on top of, the map that Cersei walks across on the ground, the mosaic or mural, the ice has reached about where Bear Island would be in the north, as if the White Walkers could theoretically walk around. I think they're going through the wall. I think the walls, we saw the Night's King touch the ground and the ice be affected by his touch, break near the Green Seer throne in the episode The Door last season. He could not get in my opinion. I know y'all refer to it as a tracker, but it's more than that. They're not allowed in having some sort of break of the curse, break of the spell, whatever it is. And it's meant to be mysterious. They need that again. But once that happens, if the Night's King were to do that sort of, I'm touching the ground, he could break a lot of that ice off. And in my opinion, we're going to have weirwood trees underneath it. And something between Bran and the Night's King and the Mad King is going to result in the Mad King repeating, burn the wall, burn the wall, burn them all, burn them all, burn them all. I didn't come up with that. That was somebody in the comments last year. But as far as the Night's King getting through and there being werewolves on the wall, that's mine. And anyway, the point is, I think that'll happen. So we're really talking about Cersei, Euron, and that bit about I mentioned that. I mentioned a lot of stuff. So responses, Charlie.
I have no responses right now. I think a lot of what you guys have said I agree with, so leave it at that. Keep it short and simple.
All right, Mama LaDonna.
Well, I'll get to that if I can, but you didn't call on either Nico or me last time about the other questions. So can I address those first? Okay, honey. Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. With respect to well, hold on. Somebody said, I think it was you, James, or someone in the chats, we were talking about Arya and Sansa's relationship. Remember that when Sansa battle, he said, I'll protect you. And she said, no one can save me. No one can save anyone. Well, no one is Arya. So we know she's going to save Sansa. I mean, that was pretty obvious to me. This is a foreshadowing. With respect to Casterly Rock, I think it is Casterly Rock. I agree. Right, I think it was you that said it, that the cisterns were what Tyrion took care of, the sewage, and that's where the sewage came out into the sea. So we've already seen the foreshadowing with the Unsullied going through the sewers way back when in Marine or wherever it was, Yunkai. And then now again, and I've said this before, Martin does a small event and then repeats it on a grander scale later. We see that over and over again. The parallel here is that Dany is taking over her ancestral home, which was stripped away from her, with Tyrion taking his ancestral home, which has been stripped away from him by his father over and over again. And not just because they feel entitled to it. If we look at it as a risk game, Dany's on the east with Dragonstone, Casterly Rock is on the west. And if you look at that in parallel to King's Landing versus Winterfell, we've got the conflict with Littlefinger and Sansa. We've got Dany I mean, this is a pincer move almost. She's taking Dragonstone. He's taking back, they're both taking back their ancestral homes, which are going to kind of press King's Landing into a mess. Then we've got Euron coming up, who in my opinion is going to hit Dany's ships. And I think we've seen in the trailer, there's a big encounter, and it's, I think Asha might be in big trouble here. And again, we see Theon, I think it's Theon washing up not washing up, but getting off a boat at the shore and getting down onto the shore, into the sand. Again, these are not spoilers. These are clearly in the trailers that have been released. So I think that parallel of Tyrion taking his home and Dany taking, which leads me back to it being Casterly Rock. And then we see Grey Worm give the command to go into that cistern sewer system. Then we see one side of the gate and Unsullied on the other side of the gate. Folks, that is a direct parallel when Pycelle said, open the gates to Tywin. Okay? So they're sacking the city, not to get back at Cersei, but to take it as Tyrion's in a place where they can do advanced warfare and strategic planning from both sides, east and west. That's my opinion. With respect to the Field of Fire, I think that Field of Fire is directly above King's Landing, probably closer to the Riverlands, because Dany, maybe not even as far as the Riverlands, probably where we saw Bronn and Jaime looking at the ruins smoldering of the Sept of Baelor. They're coming for them, and it's getting closer to King's Landing. To Tormund dying, he might die. Really sad, but somebody's got to die there. It's almost like there has to be a sacrificial death of someone we love at every event. We talked about that map of Cersei and Jaime standing on a huge map, which is a parallel to the table map, almost the risk game map at Dragonstone that Stannis used, and Dany is using her fingers across carefully, and this is probably tinfoil. Jaime is standing on the neck, which is where Littlefinger came from. And he may very well be choking Cersei out by the neck later, as in Maggie's prophecy. I agree with you that the Citadel is going to be burned, and it's going to be a great tragedy. It's been foreshadowed, chopping that history book up when Tyrion gives it to him at the wedding. Just a couple more things. I don't even know if I should say difference to Dany and Jon's relationship, and you all in the chat can beat me up about it. I think somebody here said it made more sense for Jon and Sansa as siblings to get together than Jon and Dany, or nephews rather, nephew, niece, or actually, then an aunt and a nephew, that being Dany and Jon getting together at the end. I don't know if any of those are going to happen, but I'm going to say this. I truly believe that Dany and Jon are twins. And I've got some evidence from the books, but narratively, if we only look at it narratively, Jon's background was obfuscated. It was hidden and fucked up. I think Dany's was too. There were 2 midwives in that room. That's unusual. When Jon was born, I don't think we of that birth room with Lyanna Stark. If I'm right, and I know you can hit me if you want, if I'm right, and one reason I firmly believe we're right is we see so many twinning in this thing. Cersei and Jaime, we see the Frey Towers, the Twin Towers. There are other references of twins as well. If I'm right, narratively speaking, on equal footing, and yet it's also a narrative that works properly because Dany is more Targaryen DNA-wise, and don't use DNA, but inherently. And she still kind of semi-wargs Drogon. We've seen her close her eyes in that dragon pit, and he comes. You can say he's tracking her. Argue with me. I know all the arguments. Jon has consistently fought his warging of Ghost, and I think it is because animal is a dragon. Now, Dany may or may not be fireproof. I don't know. Jon clearly is not, because he got burned when he landed. But his warging skills are more powerful. It makes sense to me for them to be twins. We'll it certainly will be interesting. And it also may very well put them at odds as far as they want to do. Jon is very magnanimous towards people. Dany leans the other way. She's wonderful. I like her a lot. But she, without Tyrion steering her properly, she leans the other way. And with respect to someone saying there are no more Baratheons left, do not discount Gendry. Gendry is out there rowing. Actually, I think he's doing some armoring, apprenticing, hidden. But I truly still believe that he is Cersei and Robert's true-born son. And if that is true and she got rid of him, then he is a legitimate person and he is a king. That's all I have to say.
All right.
Oh, wait a minute. Last thing about Euron. Yeah. Real quickly on Euron. Yeah, Euron's a big bad man. He is a monster. And Cersei said if it was anybody but Stannis, I would have ridden out to meet him and had a meeting, which would have been sex. She's going to fuck Euron with his, he's going to gallivant right over and give him his big cock. That's it.
All right. So, Mama, we were talking about specific stuff. You got a little broad, which is cool. We'll come back around to a couple of things about that, particularly the Dany stuff. But you made some great points. You mentioned Gendry. Gendry's back as far as he's on location. I don't think we can say for sure that that's Theon that's drowning. It looks like Theon. It could be Euron. I'm not quite sure. I think you all know I agree that Jon and Dany are twins. So, but those are great points. And for Nico's sake, Nico's back. Big round of applause. So, Nico, we were talking. We were talking about what might happen at Casterly Rock. I was proposing that that's where we see the big battle and the Unsullied coming in the Field of Fire. We were going back and forth about that. And right now, we're kind of talking about a combination of Euron and King's Landing. Thoughts on?
Sorry, I want to apologize to everyone. Something I had a neighbor come over to do something, whatever. So, Casterly Rock, I did not realize that we're gonna move there. I mean, in the show. So, well, it obviously has to do something with Cersei, because yeah, because she's gonna make an alliance with the Greyjoy, right, with Euron. So, but I don't think something major is gonna, because I have not been following leaks or you know, like updates on the show because I was really busy. But is it too expensive to film too many scenes in there? So I'm thinking along these like more production-wise lines than actually like for the story. So maybe it will just be something just to give us, you know, like a small shot. But I think the main thing that with the Unsullied and everything is going to happen in King's Landing, not in Casterly Rock. So that's, I'm so sorry. I lost my train of thought and like I wasn't listening to you. I have to go back.
You're good, no problem. Talking about Casterly Rock and King's Landing and Euron.
Yeah. It's just I don't think something major is going to happen there. They're just going to do like for the shots or something. I don't think that, I cannot put my mind, you know, like when I'm thinking about it, it will probably be just Cersei and the Greyjoy, and not there's nobody there, you know, significant. So sorry. I'm gonna listen to others and then I might come up with something. I'm so sorry, and thank you to everybody in the chat and who's complimenting my hair. That is actually terrible. Thank you.
Teebaby. I'm fighting Teebaby to try. Sorry. Teebaby, I can't hear you right now. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, because my dumb ass was still on mute. That's awesome. Oh, yeah. My bad, y'all. My bad.
You're good.
So
While we got you back, Charlie, could you take control for a split second? I'm gonna try to give my mom a better connection because I feel like her sound's cutting in and out. I'm still listening because my mom's got it up. Go T.
Okay, so we were talking about Euron and Cersei and all of them. Okay, cool. So I think that when it comes to Euron, I'm gonna have to agree with LaDonna. I really think that he's gonna dick down Cersei because she needs to like stop fucking her brother. So I'm down with that. I think that he's gonna you see the ships actually going towards in the trailers you actually see the Euron ships or the Greyjoy ships going towards King's Landing. So for that, I think that something to sway her because he doesn't have Dany like he originally wanted to. Oh my, this chat room. As far as Cersei, I think that go as she expected. I don't think she's going to just be taking L's up the season, but I think it's going to be where word that people are attacking Casterly Rock, so that's going to make her look weak. And I think that's going to enrage her that she's going to find out that Tyrion's still alive. That not only he's alive, but he brought dragons back and is planning on taking Casterly Rock and all those other places. As far as who else are we talking about? We talk about Euron. Someone said something about him burning down. I never thought about that, even though that's in the books. I could see that happening, so I can't put that past them. So I'm going to have to agree with whoever said it, and I apologize if I didn't. Whichever one of y'all said that, but yeah, I'm curious to see how Jaime's going to react to his sister, interacting with Euron and possibly even flirting in front of him. And then I'm also curious, I don't know if we want to talk about Jaime, because I don't really want to talk about Jaime, but I am curious how he's going to react to Cersei after she did the thing that he stopped the Mad King from doing years ago, and she did it. So I'm curious how their reaction is going to be. I'll have it.
I'm not sure who we're at right now. That was loud. Oh, sorry. Nico, you went. Tony, you went. Okay, well, I guess we'll just respond to the comments that you guys made, and then we can figure out what we can discuss after this. So, LaDonna spoke about taking back the ancestral LaDonna spoke about taking back ancestral homelands for both Daenerys and Tyrion, and I love that line. I think it's a perfect mirroring of what will go down this season for both taking over Dragonstone and Casterly Rock. So just want to give her props there, even though she's not here to get them. LaDonna was talking about the twin Targaryen theory for Jon and Daenerys. Again, she's not here to hear it, but I think we're just going to have to agree to disagree on that one. Mainly with where the show was going and what's been happening. I don't think that's really in the cards, given, as I would say, how limited the time is for the show so far. LaDonna also spoke about warging with respect to Daenerys and Drogon. Again, I think it's more so of a close bond between the two in the show rather than warging per se. I think, like I said earlier, that element's really been played down. It just doesn't seem to be present beyond likes of Bran, and that's because of Bran's powers. And they've really emphasized that he is the one who has the ability to work, to do the green series stuff, all that goodness. Now, that's not to say there isn't something magical with respect to the dragons and the direwolves, but I don't think it extends to warging in this case. That's all. Tony mentioned the Euron-Cersei pairing this season, and if that happens, kudos to you, Tony, because apparently you predicted that 3 years ago, and I had no way of seeing that coming. So if that is the case, big props to you. Last comment, I think this was Teebaby made this one, is that Euron burning down the Citadel. And actually, James also mentioned this first, but Teebaby agreed with him on this. So I think that's also a very, when I think about it, I think it's a likely thing to occur because it would factor for Sam to go and meet up with Jon Snow, especially if he were to discover Jon's true identity. I mean, I think that's a good motivating factor for them to meet up, but I don't think it's a good enough of one. Whereas if the Citadel is burned down, there's nowhere else for Sam to go. He kind of pieced out of home, and if their White Walkers are coming, and if he knows Jon's role based off of scrolls he reads or based off of people he speaks with, then that's definitely one way he could go and meet up with his ex-fellow member of the Night's Watch. Beyond that, I didn't take too many notes, so I don't have much more to say on that. I don't think James is back yet. If you are, James, make a noise or a sound. Nope. Okay, so here's what I propose for you folks. We can either do one of two things. We can either, I see a lot of cheers in the chat, so maybe, I don't know if Tony, if you want to talk about the throne. Is there trolling going on? Okay, well, maybe we won't talk about that right away. We can either talk about that or we can answer questions, maybe do a quick Q&A. What do you folks think?
Yeah, let's do something.
Go ahead, Nico, then Teebaby.
To do Q&A with some of the people, get some questions they might want to know to keep it going.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm just gonna real quick say, chat, chill out. Like, let's keep it cool, okay? It's back, we'll sort it out, but ignore this, okay? That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that, Nico?
Just chill, everyone. It's okay. I mean, Tony will handle it. Let's ask us some questions.
All right, let's do that. Yeah, sorry, I haven't really been following the chat, and I've just kind of went on there and noticed there's a lot of weird stuff going on. So if you can take care of that, Tony, I appreciate it. Let's do a Q&A. So let me look what there is. Send your questions, folks. It's going to take a few seconds to come in.
Yeah, BBR Gang, he says, will we see Dawn in the show?
Yeah, well, I think I spoke a bit about that earlier. My answer was a resounding yes. I don't want to repeat what I was saying earlier, but do you ladies have any thoughts? T, want to go first?
I think we'll see Dawn again. I'm not sure if we'll see it the way that James described we'll see him, like with the Hound. I just don't see how he would have got the sword, but I do think we'll see it again. It might possibly be another flashback. We might see it in the present. So
definitely, they would not put it in the show if they don't want to use it again. I mean, why put it in the first place? I mean, it's a significant thing. So, but I don't know who's gonna carry it. I mean, is it Jon or somebody else? Because Jon already has a sword, right? So, I don't know. I was always thinking Jamie or something. But who the hell knows?
Well, LaDonna was proposing the Hound earlier, and actually, you made a good point because I thought maybe Jon would take the sword. But of course, what's that?
What do you think, Tony?
I can hear you, Nico. What did you say, T-Baby?
I was curious, what did Tony think? I don't think that Jon needs two Valyrian swords.
Agreed,
yeah.
Tony. We should hear from you too.
Yeah, I agree on that. I mean, why would he need two swords that are like? You cannot have two primary swords, right? There's one, and I think he holds the one that he was given by Jorah. So, JR, sorry, the Mormon guy. But the question is, like, I want to ask people in the comment section, like, what do you think? Who's gonna have the Dawn?
Well, wait, before we get to that crackpot question, could Daenerys be the one to wield Dawn potentially? And Tony, what are your thoughts on the Dawn making a reappearance in the show? And then we'll go to other questions because we haven't heard from him yet.
All right, so let me respond to a couple of things that were said out here. Number one, I said that the mark on Bran is a tracking device, and it was said that it's not. It's more than that. That can be used to make the wall fall. No, it cannot. I don't believe whatsoever it's going to be able to use to make the wall fall. It didn't do anything to the Three-Eyed Raven's tree when he was in there. It didn't do anything like that. It just made him. So it just made him be able to find him. So I believe it's just a tracking situation. It's not going to be the reason why the wall falls. It'll be a whole different situation that allows that to happen when that goes down. As for the aunts and the nephews getting together and over the cousins, you know, I've heard of kissing cousins before, many a times, but I've never heard of kissing uncles. Never heard of kissing aunts. Those are called pedophiles. So I don't think it's going to go down like that. I think if it's going to happen, it's more natural to have the cousins marry each other. So Sansa and Jon marry each other. I think it would be a better situation like that. If you're trying to keep it as natural as it can be without still being nasty, and obviously we still know it's somewhat nasty. Now, as for Dorne, we have to see Dorne again. There's no reason that they had that song and put it on. Had the guy stab it on the floor so you could take a look at it. And they had it put right on the bed when Jon was born. The only reason they're doing that is to show that he's going to get that sword again. As for what happens to his other sword, he may give it back to the Mormont. He can give it right back to him when he runs into him. He can say, here, this was your father's sword, and hand it right back off to him, and he could have that sword. So he wouldn't be dual wielding or anything like that. He would just have the one sword. So I think we definitely have to see the sword again, but it's in the tomb of Leon. I don't know if it's built into the statue itself, but it's definitely inside that tomb.
Got it. Oh, man, sorry about that. I lost connection as soon as I went out there. Okay, I'm not up to date, so Charlie, why don't you lead us right now, because I'm not sure what we're talking about.
Yeah, so what we're doing is I finished my thoughts on responding to what LaDonna said, then I proposed we take a Q&A. So we did one question asking about whether Dawn would make an appearance in the next season, season 7. We kind of just spoke about that. And Tony also responded to a few of your thoughts earlier as well. That was basically it. So I don't know if you want to switch back to what you had originally in mind, or if you want to keep up the Q&A stuff.
As far as what I had in mind, is there anything at King's Landing that I was missing? Because I feel like we really don't have a lot going that we know of going on there. Cersei's on the throne. We got Jaime there. And apparently he leaves. Euron showing up there at one point. It appears as if that's a spoiler. It appears as if the Dornish may be headed there. Is there something else I'm missing at King's Landing, Charlie?
I honestly can't think of any. We could talk about the repercussions of the Sept burning up, or not the Sept, yeah, the Sept as well as the surrounding area. But I think they kind of sped through that by the end, based off the end of the last episode of last season. So,
all right.
We also did address the Jaime Cersei potential conflict coming up.
I do want to give you a theory that I haven't talked about before because I just came up with it while in the medium of last season and this season. I have no evidence for this at all, but understood there will be built the first public library. This is going, it removes religion and replaces it with learning. Instead of, I think that Tyrion will write a constitution by the end of this, and that his statue will be what's built in place of Baelor, the Blessed. And foreshadowed in that, because we didn't get the opportunity to hear it since Gilly didn't go to the Citadel, but when the person taking the names, the person at the front desk of the Citadel says, "No women or children," that's a perfect example of this fucked up mentality about who's supposed to have the knowledge. Anyway, I just want to put it out there that by the end of this, the Sept, where the Sept once stood, will be built a public library, the first public library. It also is ironic that it's built on the backs of their ancestors. The people who ruled were buried there, and now it's going to be replaced with the knowledge of all the people that ever existed. Anyway, random thoughts. So we talked about Euron, we talked about Casterly Rock, we talked about King's Landing, we talked about Winterfell, and we talked about Above the Wall. So let's get to Dany, and let's talk about Asha. And it appears as if somebody is attacking Theon and Yara's ships with trebuchets or catapults from another ship with the predecessor cannons. So, and it's burning the ships down. I just think it's a great idea to have, if it's Euron, silent ships in the darkness, painted black, and they are attacking out of nowhere, these ships. That would explain why maybe Theon is the one that appears to be almost drowning. In the trailers to be kissing Oberyn's paramour, whose name escapes me at the moment. But so that seems to be tied in and to their storyline. I'm not sure how exactly. But and Dany is clearly arriving at Dragonstone. I'm not 100% sure if she's going to land on Westeros' soil. When she reaches down and touches the ground, that is clearly to be sand. I think it's likely Dragonstone because it's her first Westeros touch, but it could be actual mainland Westeros. But I don't see any evidence that she's actually going to be on mainland Westeros this season. That said, Jon is going to Dragonstone, and it appears as if Melisandre is already there. What brings Melisandre there, and why is Jon going? There's also a speech Jon gives in the trailer about our families have fought together before, we should fight together again. That to me does not strike as a conversation he would have with a Targaryen, because they really haven't fought together. That's not true. The Starks and Targaryens. But not as far as the show people know. Out of nowhere, in my opinion. But it could be him talking to Dany, but he is meeting Dany this season, in my opinion, absolutely 100%. All right, thoughts on all of that? So we're talking about Dragonstone, Dany, and Melisandre, and before, and him being torn between attacking Casterly Rock, which means attacking his sister and his brother. He's also going to be shocked to shit to find out Cersei's on the throne. All right, and also Asha Yara. Charlie?
Yeah, I'll keep this one relatively brief. I have more questions, honestly, than answers per se. You spoke about burning ships, Theon and Yara. I honestly think this, his role this season and throughout the whole series up until the very end is going to be a continuation of, the questioning of his loyalty, is his role as whether he's going to be a hero or a coward, a craven or a hero. You know what I mean? Every action he's undertaken, it's either he's always wanted to be the hero, do the right thing, then he gets broken down and bad things happen to him. And I think that's probably going to get played up again this season. I don't want to say that he's going to be directly responsible for any other character's demise. But I remember making a video a while ago called, I can't really say this out loud in Starbucks, but bastards, cripples, and broken things. And I think it's a bit of an indication that things probably won't go well for Yara because she's none of those aspects. And I kind of made a statement that I think these are the kinds of people who will come to rule Westeros, kind of like the whole idea of the meek shall inherit the earth. I think these are the individuals who will come to power at the end of the series, and I don't see Yara as kind of fitting that trope. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. Moving on to Melisandre, though. Even now, she's a bit of a mysterious character. I mean, what does it mean that now she's on Dragonstone with Daenerys? Or so it seems anyway. If Daenerys goes there, and if she's there, then clearly they're going to be together. Does she switch loyalties? We know that Jon exiled her, but we also know she now seems convinced that he is the Azor Ahai figure. Does that mean that with Jon Snow telling her to go away, is she going to now see Daenerys as a savior, or is she going to see Daenerys as, a tool or a weapon to assist Jon? So that's kind of where I saw things with that. I don't really have any concrete answers. I don't think that Melisandre, I mean, on one hand, she was super good. She was convinced that Stannis was the Azor Ahai figure, and then when that fell apart, her whole world effectively fell apart. We saw that with the scene where she kind of reveals her true form at the wall. But with Jon's appearance, maybe her affirmation has come back, and maybe she'll have this newfound undying loyalty towards him, even though she has been exiled from the North. So that's the real question. I mean, is she now less convinced of her own convictions based off of events in the past, or maybe she sees this as a test by her creator, by her maker, the Red God, to see whether or not she's going to be loyal to Jon, and maybe that'll come down at some point in the story where she'll be forced to pick between these two figures, potentially. Just a crackpot thought. But that's kind of where I got, her whole storyline so far. That's all I have to say about that.
All right, Mama Jamma.
I really don't have too much to say about a lot of things on this particular area. I'll say a couple things. I think at this point in the storyline, narratively, there has to be a lot of culling of things, meaning cutting out characters that aren't really super important except for getting us where they got us. And with all due respect, Stannis got us where we are. And even Melisandre said to Jon, maybe you're just a part of this. Maybe But anyway, I think that Dorne was kind of crap in the books. There were some good chat, like Doran and Arya was interesting, but the story there wasn't wonderful. It was like they were a tool to be used, and I think that's what they're doing in the show. And I think that because of that, they're going to be getting rid of some of these people we're not very invested in, which are the Sand Snakes. And I thought that in the books. I think that's what's going to happen, the show about them. As far as Asha, I really don't want to see her go. But clearly in the trailer, those ships are being attacked. And I think if there's anybody that is going to live through it, it's going to be Theon, because he's got the history with the Starks. And Asha, again, could have been a placeholder. I mean, I, for one, was like rooting for her to be the queen of the Lady of the Iron Islands. But she really is more of a placeholder. If anyone dies from Euron's attack on those ships, I think it's going to be Asha. Melisandre, why is she a Dragonstone? Well, first of all, she's there because where the hell else is she going to go? I mean, Dragonstone is right now until Dany gets there. And number two, that was her home for quite a while with Stannis. So let's presume she goes back there. When he shows up, Melisandre would be the key person to tell Dany that Jon is a decent person and to listen to him. Her, combined with Tyrion, who knew Jon, and they were really kind of hit it off, you know, very briefly up north, but after a rough, rocky start, Jon and Tyrion really liked each other. I think between Melisandre and Tyrion, they're the bridges to get Jon and Dany to talk to each other. And that's all I have to say about that.
Those are great points. We got a couple of different people that have strong connections to both Dany and Jon, and Davos has been a good speaker for Jon's cause, having spoken to the Mormonts and just generally being a good spokesperson. We haven't really talked about Brienne yet. Nico? We can't hear you, Nico. I don't know why. It's unmuted. Come back in. Leave and come back in. Teebaby?
Can you hear me? You hear me?
Yes.
Now, of course, I was too busy in the chat. What are we talking about?
We're talking generally about Dany and her being at Dragonstone and what might happen there, whether she's going to make it to Westeros this season. We're also talking about Theon and Yara, what might happen with them being attacked on the sea. Theon may be the one that is, and Yara possibly making out with Oberyn's paramour.
Yeah, okay, so as far as like the Greyjoys attack, I think that's going to be the first episode. So it doesn't seem like Dany has just this huge untamable army that no one can capture. I think that's going to be like one of those. I think because there's a scene in the trailer where Theon is like getting off a boat and look like he's excited to be on land. So I think that he's part of that battle, that something went wrong, and that's them all going to Dragonstone. So he might be with Dany at that point in time. And see, this is what I love about this season, because there's so many people that were so far apart that either have something to do with their story and line. Because like you think about the possibility that Theon and Jon could be in the same room, which means that Jon's going to have a talk with him. That might be interesting. And then you think about Tyrion and Jon, because remember, Tyrion was the one who told Jon the truth where you were going and what it really was. But at the same time, he married his sister, and still was in season 4, before he left to go to Dragonstone, he was still trying to talk to Bronn and say that, you know, he still possibly can rule the North and give him a chunk of the North. So it's so many different things that they're like so intuitive with each other that I'm so excited and curious to see how everyone's going to. So the thought of I'm curious about how Davos, if he's going to be with Jon or not, and if he is and Mel's there, how's he going to react? Is he going to be able to keep his cool? They say if they saw you again, he was going to burn her or he was going to hang her or something. But technically, that's the Winterfell. They're now going to Dragonstone, so would the rules still apply? So I think I have more questions than I have like a answer for what I think is going to happen. But as far as Euron, I think in order for Euron to go to Cersei, he's going to have something for her besides just ships and people. So if he goes to Cersei with some captors probably from that battle, I could see her letting them in, and then now they start to negotiate. And I forgot what else that we said, but basically I'm just excited about everything that's happen. And I have like so many things just running around, and I'm just excited, y'all. Thumbs up, comment, and all of our questions get answered.
All right. So there's a lot of random stuff to talk about. We definitely want to do a Q&A before we're out of this. Tony is gone, but I have a feeling he's going to come back. I'm not sure. I think he maybe has some internet issues. Anybody got anything they want to add? Nico, I'm sorry. Shit. Okay, still can't hear you. Come do it again. Come back out. Let me give you the link again. See if giving you a new link will help. And while they're doing that, anybody, let's just go through everybody one more time. Charlie, my mom, and T in that order. See if they got anything to add to what we've been talking about so far.
I can't say I have anything to add, actually. Just looking forward to see season 7 premiere next weekend. We'll leave it at that.
Mama Jamma?
I would like to briefly talk about the fact that the trailer showed the murder of crows flying in the air, and one of them had warged eyes. So Bran is clearly flying with those crows.
That's a great point. Yeah, so the crows are flying in the air, and you can see the crow's eye tilt back. So Bran is in a crow. That's the first time we've seen him in a flying creature. And it implies in the trailer that the Night's King looks up at the crow. We don't know that that's actually cut properly, but it implies it. Anything else you wanted to add to that, Mama?
Not off the top of my head. I'll think about it.
And Nico, let's see. I don't know if you came back or left. See if your mic's working now. She's not there. T, you want to go? Is there anything you want to add? Anything we missed?
Can you hear me? No? Yes? Maybe? Yeah? Okay, cool. So all over the place. So one thing that we didn't talk about, or maybe I missed it because I was in chat, was it was the scene where Jon was pushing Littlefinger in the crypts, and it instantly reminded me of that that scene with Ned in season 1 where he's like, "You damn Starks are so quick tempers and slow minds." So I think every time I look at Jon, I want him to learn. He acts more and more and more like Ned. And I'm like, that's going to get you killed. Like, stop doing that. So Jon makes me worried because he's still not playing the game and he's being more like Ned, and he shouldn't. It's also, what did I see that I was like, we didn't talk about? Oh, I'm curious to know what did Cersei do with that 7? The lady that she was torturing. Like, I wonder if we're going to figure out what's happening between the mountain and that second lady that she was torturing.
Something with your mic too.
It's happening to you.
Oh no, can you hear me?
Yeah, but it's crackly. Hold up for just a second, Charlie. Is mine too? Charlie, you speak for a split second.
Can you hear me? Do I sound like I'm breaking up, or?
You sound fine. It's Tease. Tease is T, talk again.
Still robotic.
Yeah, it sounds robotic.
I'll come back in.
Mute your computer so you can't hear anything else. Not your speaker, your computer.
Yeah, but would you still be able to hear me?
Hear you, but it's still crackly. But it's not crackly so that we can't hear you at all. You go ahead and talk.
Is it still doing that? Yeah, I'm coming back because I was just going to say nonsense. Sorry, guys.
Some technical issues. So, Mom, it sounded like you wanted to add something. It sounded like you just wanted to add something to what she said. You're muted, Mama. There's a symbol on your screen that says you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't hear her very well. I would also like to talk about the fact that in the trailers, it is so awesome. It's like all obsidian. Like the throne there is obsidian. Everything is obsidian. So somebody better get to Dragonstone and start making some weapons.
Let's try you again, T.
Tease. Yeah.
Can you guys hear me? Am I still rotted?
Nope, it's perfect.
I forgot what I was going to say. It's probably some nonsense, but like I said, I'm curious about a lot of things because I'm curious to how people are going to interact with each other. I'm like Mel was supposed to link back up with Arya, so I'm like, is that going to happen or not? I'm curious about what Cersei was doing with the mountain all this time. You guys know I'm just all over the place. I'm really curious about Littlefinger because Littlefinger in his hand in the cookie jar. Sansa definitely knows that she can't trust Littlefinger, but I think she still needs Littlefinger in some way to use him to get whatever she potentially wants. I hope Nico can say something too, but I just want to say I'm really excited. And I probably have more questions than answers, but I'm curious to how everyone's going to interact with each other because we're seeing a lot of people who haven't seen each other since season 1 come back.
All right, Nico, you go.
Can you hear me now?
Oh my God, we can.
Oh my God, because I'm using Linux and Linux sometimes makes pretty big mess with everything. So I'm on my phone now. So
you got a vertical video going on though.
Oh yeah, shit. Wait. Is it better now?
You're beautiful.
What? Oh no, I don't think so. So the first thing I was talking about, can you hear me well? Okay. James, you asked how Mel is gonna why is she gonna arrive to Dragonstone? I think her visions are gonna help her, or like she knows, like they don't need to discuss that or address it in a show. She's just there. And the thing about the dynamics between Mel and Tyrion is not gonna be good because Tyrion is the voice of reason while Mel is, like visions and shit. So I think there's gonna be some kind of quarrel, and it's gonna influence the relationship between Jon and Dany, at least in a little bit. I mean, there's gonna be some drama definitely this season, but the thing is, the Mel and Tyrion are gonna be the driving force behind it. Well, that's my prediction anyway. Then what else? Yes, Jon and Dany are definitely in Dragonstone, and I think LaDonna said that they're not gonna move away from there, and I agree on that. They're just gonna be there. Jon might go, but Dany's just gonna stay there. Then what do we have? What did I write here? Oh my God, my handwriting is so terrible. Okay, Euron. Well, I wanted to mention Euron. Like, I think Euron is gonna be the last drop between Jaime and Cersei. I think that he's gonna be the reason that he killed her this season. Like, she might cheat on Jaime with him. Like, she might, think that she's gonna get to him through, by this way, but it's not gonna end well for her. What else did I write? Sorry. Jaime and Cersei, yes. And then Theon, Yara, and Euron. I don't agree with LaDonna. Well, my prediction is that actually Asha is gonna, or what is this, Yara, right? In the show, it's Yara. I think that she's gonna inherit the Iron Islands, because who else? Euron's gotta go. He's just gonna, he's there to make a mess in this season, and then he's gonna go. And then you're left with Theon and with Yara. Theon is not fit to be a leader. He's gonna either sacrifice himself or he's gonna become some religious guy or something. But so you're left with Yara, that's it. And we don't have the third guy in the show, right? So that's basically it. I think they're gonna play on the women leader stuff this season. So not this season, like in the show. They, you have to be left with some women that are actually, I don't know, good or something. I don't know, because you don't have it in the show actually that many. So I don't have anything else, and I really apologize for using Linux. So
no, you're fucking fine. I gotta build
Nico
as well.
Nico, we have Daenerys as a strong female, powerful leader. I'm gonna drop that bombshell and walk away now.
Let me add to that, though, that I agree with Nico as far as Yara is concerned. We have some examples of women that have good qualities, but nobody's perfect in the show, with the exception of Jon, who arguably no one's perfect. But Jon seems to be unable to do something where we all go, that was fucked up, Jon. I can refresh my memory, but Jorah made the agreement the Iron Islands needs to keep. Either that or they need to be destroyed, because they can't grieve and rape and live that lifestyle and have a united kingdom. You just can't do it anymore. But we do need women in charge of a lot of different places. And Bear Island with 62 people is not enough. And Sansa being the one female who gets a lot of, whether that be Queen of Westeros, my opinion, or Queen of the North, my mom's opinion, I think that's not enough. You also have Dorne. There's no more men left, so some women are going to rule Dorne. It might be the Sand Snakes, which, with the death of Oberyn's paramour, which seems inevitable, maybe they'll be a little bit more likely to not be so bitchy. But Highgarden, there's nobody fucking left except for Queen Olenna and the Queen of Thorns, and I suspect she's going to be dead by the end of this too. So I'm not sure how all that works. So anyway, thoughts, Teebaby? Did you collect what you were thinking about a minute ago?
Yes. Can you hear me? The one thing that I forgot to mention about Sansa that I'm curious to what you guys think is that Sansa was technically the reason why the Veil came to save them. Now, if it was or Bran, they wouldn't have chose Jon to be the King of the North. But isn't it kind of messed up that they skipped over Sansa? Like they took her own rights. So I don't know how she's thinking back there, because you did have Littlefinger in her ear saying that, they're going to choose you. You're the, rightful heir. And she's been told that throughout, because you had the Tyrells and the Lannisters fighting over her because she's supposed to have this this title to Winterfell, and then you get and then all of a sudden they just dismiss her claim and give it straight to Jon. So I'm curious, I think she's playing all of this in the back, and I forgot to mention that. That's it. Now I'm done. Oh, and Jorah. We didn't really talk about Jorah, but I'm okay if he dies. I know it's terrible, but he just, Jorah can go. I know it's terrible. Jorah, the thing is, he kept touching stuff, and now it just bothers me that he always touches stuff like it's grayscales. It's in your pocket, and just let everyone live. And now I'm done.
Those are good points. He actually touched Dany, too. He touched Dany on her arm when he was lifting her out of the thing. That was fucking stupid. You had to think better than that. We didn't really talk about Jorah. I do want to say a couple things. Somebody, David Adams asked in the comments about, are we going to find out what the voice said to Varys? I think we absolutely are. I don't know when or where, but we're going to find out. I think that Varys is a woman. I've said that for a very long time. And that tie to Dany is going, and that he's a Targaryen, but a Blackfire. And his tie to Dany will be to explain to her, you're the first. I couldn't because women weren't allowed, but you can. And there'll be a reveal, and maybe we'll find out what the voice was then. But I think we're going to find out. I don't know when or where. Alicia Kingston made, I totally disagree with you, Alicia, about Sansa. Sansa is a beat-up girl. She starts out like, this is the way I explain it to people that don't know I have this channel and I'm speaking to them in person. Sansa starts out as the girl we're supposed to hate. She lives in a fantasy world. She's a young girl, and we're all supposed to roll our eyes and go, grow up. Too. But girls are meant to be treated as these ditzy, are commonly treated as these ditzy, don't know, you want a prince and you want a castle, and maybe that's that stereotype existed because that was how we taught. That's what we taught girls. You need to be married, you need to have children, and you need to know how to cook a bunch of shit. Now that's not true of every culture, but that is the stereotypical sort of thing. So she's been through complete shit. She was a little girl who was in love, and she was not in love, but obsessed with this idea, and it was a fake idea. And it would be for a real girl in today's world. 50% of marriages end in divorce. No marriage lasts without trials and tribulations. Kids are a fucking shit show. I don't have any kids. I don't think anybody on here except for my mama and Tony have kids. Kids are a shit show. There's a lot of fucking effort and no goddamn sleep. Been through complete shit. She's even been raped. At the end of this, if she were to be queen, look at the message that sends to the people reading these books. And you can go through the worst things anyone can go through. You can have your will taken from you. You can lose everything, even the people you love, and you can still be queen. Hugely important thing, especially for women. So, but Alicia made a great point. I was talking about Highgarden, and Alicia said, by the way, Alicia's the shit. She's off-time viewer and makes great comments. Alicia posited that if Highgarden's royal family were to be deceased, perhaps the Tullys, not the Tullys, Sam's dad, perhaps Sam's dad would vie for the lordship in that area. And if he were to get it, somehow die, then Sam would be the one to get it. I'm not saying that's going to happen. Sam's ultimately going to be the Maester, but it's something to consider. So, things we did not talk about, we have not really talked in depth about Jorah or Brienne. T brought Jorah up. So as far as Jorah goes, I watched the trailer and initially thought that the hand that reached out of the cage was a white, which was what made me think they were going up north to get a white. But I think that's Jorah's hand based on what my mom got me to rewatch it. And that looks to me like Jorah's hand. So, into this, Dany is a fascist. We love her. A lot of us love her. Wants a monarchy. She wants to rule. That is not the way to end these books. The way to end these books is with equality, with education, with empathy, and with democracy. And she, in my opinion, will ultimately, well, I don't know, I could posit a million years how it actually happens, but she's going to end up joining the other side. If Jorah follows her, reality too, and he gets to preserve his mind in whatever condition it was in. Daario is the flip side of that. Both Jorah and Daario love her. But Jorah will follow her to whatever end that is. Daario, I am Daario Naharis. I always have a choice. He will not follow her into that world that has no more free will. That's a dichotomy. So that's Jorah. If Jorah comes back this season, that's going to be interesting. I think Tyrion is going to be an asymptomatic carrier. I've talked about that for a long time. He was certainly touched by the stone men, now maybe on his clothes, and he lied to Jorah about it, arguably. But I think he's going to be an asymptomatic character, and everybody is going to think it's Jorah. And you can watch the video called Disease to learn a little bit more about that. We also had to talk about Brienne. I think the long and short of it is Brienne's going to follow Sansa wherever she goes, and we're going to get a lot of Sansa's thoughts translated in the TV show into conversations between her and Brienne. Brienne has not mentioned the Hound yet to Sansa, and I think we're going to get that this season. So just some thoughts. Charlie, you want to respond to that?
No, I was actually going to say I'm going to have to get going now, unfortunately. I probably had a call I have to make, so apologies in advance about that.
Thank you for joining us. I love you, Charlie. You're the shit.
As always, I look forward to the first episode discussion, I'm assuming a week from now, more or less.
Yeah, we'll set it up for Monday or Tuesday next week if we can.
Sounds good. All right.
I'm excited. Sorry, I'm not there to join you with it.
It's all good. Next time, maybe.
All right.
Cheers, folks.
Don't you want to add some stuff to that?
Yeah, I have a really maybe stupid idea. I don't know. I have not read this online, but it just occurred to me. What if? I mean, what do you think? Can you, how do you say? In fact, the dragons with the grayscale or with the stone thing, and then the dragons turn to stone. So maybe Jorah can do that, or can he maybe touch White Walkers and they will turn into stone? I don't know. It's just stupid, but it just occurred to me. What do you think about that?
That's definitely an interesting thought. It takes
it's a crackpot, but I mean,
no, it's not a bad idea. But it takes so long to take you over. I think we're maybe, if it didn't happen in the first half of the season, I would think it would be likely. But it's definitely something to think about. Is it translatable from human to?
Yeah, because they said that the dragons are turned into stone on Dragonstone. I don't know. This is the first time I thought about it, so I don't know. It might be stupid. What were
ideas?
So I was not paying attention to actually.
It's just general ideas. Anything you got to add to anything we've been talking about that we haven't
discussed? About Brienne or what?
Brienne and Jorah were the main things I was mentioning.
I don't know. You know my thoughts on Brienne. She has to do something. I mean, I would really like for her to just stop following people and be on her own, because she's been slaving. She's been, serving. That's her purpose, to serve, and she needs to realize if you want to have empowered women, then those women should realize they should not follow anybody but be themselves. And this is the first thing that bothers me with Brienne. I mean, the only thing, actually. So, but in regards to the show, she's gonna do some badass fighting this season. That's it. I mean, nothing major is gonna happen. I think she's gonna survive the show. I mean, till the end. There's no doubt. Because why would she die? Like, I don't know. Only if Martin and they want to do this fucking trope. Like, it's too much. Like, it's, for me, I got over it years ago, like when people say, oh my god, they kill everyone. It's like, okay, now you're doing it, it's a franchise now. They should stop doing that shit and like surprise us with something else, not just kill off everyone. You have to have somebody in the end, right? So these are my thoughts. Sorry guys, this was just stupid thing that I just thought about.
Yeah. All right. So I see what you're saying, but to me, there are clearly going to be a lot more deaths, and in order for us to be afraid that people we care about will die, we needed a lot of other people we cared about to die. So I don't think they ever need to get rid of that until it's over. Teebaby?
I don't think I have anything extra to add on, because I think you all kind of touched on everything. But I could see actually touching White Walkers and they turn to stone people. I can actually see that. Jorah, he annoys me. And then I'm also curious about the baby. Like, what are they going to do with the baby moving forward? So that's it. But it's like, I feel like all my questions will be answered this season. So really, it's just mainly questions I have. Muted.
Got it. Questions we can't quite have answers to yet. I get it. Mama? Mama?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I've got a delay. I'm sorry. I want to go back to what something Nico said. Somebody has to survive cataclysmic events in order for them to be the marker for human survival and heartache. So if I have to, because, you know, if we look at the Holocaust, you know, if everybody got wiped out by it, would we learn anything from it? No, we have to have the survivors to tell us this horrific time. And we deserve to be respected as human beings who survived. I think Brienne is one of them. And I've thought about her a lot because when I first heard she was going to be introduced in, I think, but I was terrified for the Starks. I'll leave that alone. Back to the heartache. I don't think she stays with Sansa forever. I think that when back up, he becomes Sansa's protector and Brienne can go away. And I think the only place she can go away to is either to go back to Tarth, which she's not going to do, at least not right now. She's going to go find Jaime. And she won't be able, because Jaime's storyline is so interconnected with Cersei's as twins that I think they may not go out immediately together, but I think Jaime is marked for time. And you know what? Blackfish said to Jaime this last season, we can hold this off for 2 years, Jaime Lannister. He said, do you have 2 years? And I think that was important. I don't think he has 2 years. So the heartbreak, the star-crossed lovers, the one that can't for millions of reasons, yet they were soulmates in a very specific, loving kind of way. So Jaime's dying. Cersei's gone. Brienne will absolutely survive all of it. Jorah. Yeah, I think that was his arm that came through that door. I think he was trying to unlock something. Jorah is an interesting person for a number of reasons, but to make this short, I'm going to say that in the resolution of the narrative, I think Jorah needs to get back his ancestral sword, which is Longclaw. And I think it would be marvelous if Jon gave it back to him as an honorable act to say thank you, and his bear ornament goes on that sword again before Jorah dies, if he dies. And I think it's just Dawn. I mean, it's been destined for him forever. The hero, and I don't know if he'll survive. I have a feeling he's going to go off into the hinterlands and live like Luke Skywalker. Yeah, because after, like Frodo, after you've been through a lot of things, sometimes you just don't want to deal with humanity ever again. Charlie, my last thing is, I love the idea. And Jaime, I don't think you got it quite right with Alicia Kingston. I'm going to have to go back and look at it. Not dissing you. I'm not sure I read it right. I think what she said is that Sam may very well go to Highgarden, which would be lovely. Gilly gets to stay there in this beautiful atmosphere that she's never going to have, if he survives, can have Horn Hill. And I hope Randall Tarley dies and goes to fucking hell. I mean, I'd like to drag the guy to hell. With respect to the baby, you know, that thing was such a clusterfuck in the books. The baby that Sam and Gilly have is actually Mance Rayder's kid. So I'm just going to disregard the whole thing. What I like about the baby is give him a generation or two past him. Nobody cares if he's a bastard. Nobody cares if he's adopted. A member of a family, like we human beings do when we take in kids. And that's all I have to say.
That's great stuff. Yeah, Nico.
What? Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What do you think if Brienne will? The first question is, are there going to be Night's Watch left? But if there is Night's Watch left, will Brienne be the new leader? The new? She might be. I don't know. This is just a thought.
I think she'll be the Lord Commander of the King's Guard.
That's even better. Yeah. I was stupid. It was stupid.
It's not
So, yeah,
stupid.
right.
You're like the one of us who has the most education.
Oh, so what? It doesn't make me smart. It just makes me, person who can sit a lot and study.
Teebaby?
I'm gonna have to disagree with that because I think you're super smart. But yeah, you are. I just went blank, so that's real sad, you guys. Oh, Brienne. I'm not sure. I think she will survive this season. But then I can understand why some people, I think Renee said it in the chats, that because they haven't really seen too many things in the trailer that they're worried, but possibly either she doesn't have that big of a role this season, or she just her roles might be a little too spoilery, and that's why they didn't show us. But I never really thought about if she would be Night's Watch or the Kingsguard, because I never thought she would survive that far enough to when everything's established. But what they did to Sansa, where they were quick to just take her title away just to put someone else up there, I don't know if men would respect her enough, even though she's shown that, she can handle the Hound and all these other men. Even Jaime, even though, he was a little tired, she still got the better of Jaime at one point. That I think that I think that they might still diss her and not respect her. But the one thing that I remember Bran was saying, that Old Man told him, as long as the Night's Watch are true to each other, and as long as the Night's Watch stay true, then the wall will remain up. But they haven't been true for a long time because there's been mutiny and people killing their Lord Commanders. They did it twice. So I think that might also play into like the wall falling down. As far as like, I know I'm bouncing all over the place. I'm just throwing all my ideas out there. As far as the brand, I think it is a tracker in a sense, but I don't think the Night's King can break down the wall because he now can track Bran. But I think that it might go both ways, that he might have an idea of where Bran is at certain times, and Bran might also have an idea where the Night King is. I think they might be connected because of that. And when it came to the birds with the Worgen, I think that might be just showing that Bran's getting more evolved in his skills, and that might have been like a tactic to Jon out, because we've seen Bran before help Jon when he was far away from him. So I could see him using those ravens to help Jon out because he knows he's in trouble. Yeah, that's about it. I hate to say this. I don't think Jaime's going to make it, because there is a scene where Jaime looks crazy and he's just like riding in an open field and there's fire everywhere. And I know it could make it seem that like it's to distract us and make us think that he'll die, and he doesn't. But it's either Jaime dies this season, in my opinion, or he gets captured again, fighting like the Unsullied and Dothraki when like he could barely beat the Sand Snake. So I think if you like Jaime, he might be in some trouble. I know.
I think Jaime is going to die, but I think it has more to do with the way he dies, more with his sister than anything. All right. As it stands right now, I think we pretty much covered it. We should do a Q&A sometime once the show starts, see what theories are destroyed and everything. Anybody got anything they want to add now that we're at the end? Yeah, Nico, go for it.
Yeah, you were right about Brienne. I'm sorry, I have to put my mind into, Game of Thrones because I've been out so much. It makes complete sense because it will, complete this. It's a full circle. She's been serving, now she's gonna serve but lead at the same time. She's been with many people. She can, she learned from Jaime, she learned from the Hound. You when you hang around people, you pick up things. So she will be a good leader. I mean, she's kind of a person that makes you respect her. But if somebody doesn't respect her, she can just bitch slap him and, you know, just shut the fuck up and that's it. She's huge. I mean, come on. Plus, another thing, I think LaDonna is going to like this, is she's going to be a virgin, you know, like she's completely pure in every sense of the way, which, you know, guards should be, the white cloaks. So I think that makes sense. And also some people, yeah, some people, this is just random, unrelated to Game of Thrones, but people been saying that it's not even relevant, but that I have dark, like black hair. I don't have black hair, I'm actually light brunette, and I really look dark in the camera. I don't know why.
Those are good points with Brienne. She even, having known Jaime before, she can, having known Jaime before, she's got experience with the Knights, with the King's Guard. She's also able to change what's written in the book as concerns Jaime, since she knows him more than anybody else. She also told Pod, I never wanted anybody following me. I'm not a leader. And that's all foreshadowing as well. Mom, you wanted to say some stuff? Oh, I did want to say one more thing about what Teebaby said. That's a great point about the crows and trying to help Jon. That may be exactly what that's about. Mom?
I was just about to say what you said, James. That is exactly what she said to Pod. I don't want to be a leader. Well, you know what? A lot of times the things we beat our wings against are exactly the things we need to be. And leader. And part of these books was about the King's Guard, and you know, they used to be honorable people, and then over the years, corrupted individuals. Brienne is going. This is like the wheel of time, and Martin is not going to leave these books unresolved. And he isn't giving us threads that don't go anywhere. They're there for a reason. Yeah, she'll be the head of the King's Guard, whoever, or the head of some guard, even if it becomes a semi-democracy, she'll be there to restore some order and justice. I love the fact that you said she'll probably be a virgin, which goes to the purity of the King's Guard, which is exactly why the Hound refused to join them for a long time. If you're not going to be a pure knight, I'm not going to be a knight. Yet he does knightly things throughout his redemption arc. And even before his redemption arc, he does knightly things to Sansa, for Sansa, and also Arya, actually. And I absolutely love the fact that they put that fight between Brienne and the Hound in the show. It was perfection. It really was. I can't wait. But I do want people who are looking at the series, it's going to make sense. I mean, it's been set in place. So any place we're going is going to have a neat resolution. It will not be a Disney World end, but it will have a resolution. And here we go, come Sunday.
No shit, I'm so fucking ready. All right. Thank you all for joining. Sorry people had to leave. We missed MP and Claire. I told Claire last minute, so that's my fault. I love y'all. Any last words? By the way, what you hear on my mom's screen are cicadas. That's the sound you hear. It's not her computer. All right, Nico.
James, you don't have one.
Do what?
No. Go.
Nico?
I want to say bye to everyone and see you next week, right? When are people are asking in the comments, like, when are we doing this?
For either Monday or Tuesday, so it's soon after the show, but not too. So it's soon after the show, but also after the show, because we gotta wait till the fucking show comes out. We'll work it out elsewise, and I'll put something online in advance so everybody knows when it's coming up.
Okay. But at the same time, right? Because I need to know.
6 or 7 is most likely.
Okay.
Is that okay with you, Nico?
Yeah.
6 or 7 Eastern Standard Time. Okay.
Yeah.
Teebaby?
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, Nico. Bye, Nico. Actually, I'll say goodbye at the end.
I'm glad we are back at it again. I've missed you guys terribly. See people die. I can't wait to see people reunite. Shout out to everyone in the chat room for just talking back with me, answering my questions. Shout out to you guys. I love you guys, and I'm probably going to be trolling your favorite characters, but you love me and you've been here since what, season 4, so it's stuck with me, everyone.
Happily so. Mama?
Good night, everybody. Thanks for following us for years. And we really do love Council. I want you to know that. We have our little mini tiffs about who's an important character, but we love talking about this. So thanks for following us. And you guys are brilliant, you know, and I want to give a shout out to many of them. Dawn, Alicia, David Adams, Claire, and many of you in the chat. Thank you all so much, and we enjoy your comments.
As always, thank y'all for watching. Love y'all. Love you too, Nico and Teebaby and my mama, and to you, Charlie and Maester Payne and Tony. I love you all. Thank y'all for joining, and thank all of y'all for watching. We greatly appreciate it, and I hope that the conversations are thick this season because there's only going to be 7 episodes, so let's get the fucking most out of it, right? Here. Y'all have a great night.